Hi guys, this is Miss Goal. Today's lesson is Module 1, Lesson 13, the unit rate as scale factor. Your outcomes for today's lesson are students recognize that the enlarged or reduced distances in scale drawings are proportional to the corresponding distance in the original picture. Students recognize the scale factor to be the constant of proportionality. Given a picture or description of geometric figures, students make a scale drawing with a given scale factor. So let's start with example 1. Ruben created a simple game on his computer and shared it with his friends to play. They were instantly hooked, and the popularity of his game spread so quickly that Ruben wanted to create a distinctive icon so players could easily identify his game. He drew a simple sketch. From the sketch, he created stickers to promote his game, but Ruben wasn't quite sure if the stickers were proportional to his original sketch. So this kind of takes us back to earlier lessons from this module where we created a table comparing an input with an output. This time we're going to compare the original sketch to the sticker, and what we were looking for was a constant of proportionality. So let's create our table here. We're going to start with the original, that would be the input, and then the sticker would be the output, and in this case it's the sketch or the scale model. At least we hope it's a scale model. We have to find out if it is proportional first. So what I'm going to do is first find one of the sides. So for example, here we have 1 inch. And this side would correspond to this side in the picture. So this one would be 2 inches. Let's say we have 0.75 inches. Corresponds to this one down here, which is 1.5 inches. And then finally over here we have 7/8 of an inch, would correspond to 1 3/4 of an inch. So I'm looking to see what my constant of proportionality is. Now in the first one here I can easily identify that we would have to multiply 1 by 2 to get 2. The other two aren't as obvious, so what we're going to do is look back to what we did in the beginning of the module, which was to find unit rate or constant of proportionality. We'd simply divide the output divided by the input. So this would be 1.5 divided by 0.75, and that works out to 2. Here we would do 1 3/4 divided by 7/8, and that also works out to 2. So that tells us that this is a proportional drawing. So let's take a look at the steps that we just used to solve this. The first thing you're going to do is measure the length of the scale drawing and record that on the table, measure the corresponding lengths on the actual drawing and record that on the table, and finally check for a constant of proportionality. The key idea here is that the scale factor can be calculated from the ratio of any length in the scale drawing to its corresponding length in the actual drawing. The scale factor corresponds to the unit rate and the constant of proportionality. So up to this point, we have used unit rate and constant of proportionality interchangeably. Well, we can add scale factors to that list. They're all the same thing. Scaling by factors greater than 1 enlarges the segment, and scaling by factors less than 1 will reduce the segment. Okay, let's take a look at example 2. It says use a scale factor of 3 to create a scale drawing of the picture. So we have a picture of the flag of Colombia, and they have already measured out the lengths for us. I do want to note that if you are not given the lengths, you are going to need to identify the important aspects of any drawing and measure out those lengths. And then you're going to have to sketch it using a ruler and using the actual lengths if they want you to create the scale drawing. So first thing we want to do is create our table. We have some original lengths given of 1 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and then these two are the same, so we'll just write it once, 1/4 of an inch. And our scale factor is 3, so each of these is going to be multiplied by 3. And when we do that, we get 4 1/2 inch for this one, 1 1/2 inch for this one, and 3/4 of an inch for this one. So I need to create a scale drawing. Now for the purposes of this, I'm going to just take the image and stretch it, but you would need to actually draw it out yourself, and you will need to use a ruler to measure out those lengths if you were doing this on a test or anything like that. So let's see, we'll take it and I'm just going to stretch it. Okay. And then you want to make sure you always label within your figure. So this one is 4.5 inches. This one is 1 1/2 inches. And these two are both 3/4 of an inch. Okay, let's take a look at example 3. Your family recently had a family portrait taken. Your aunt asked you to take a picture of the portrait using your cell phone and send it to her. If the original portrait is 3 feet by 3 feet and the scale factor is 1/18, draw the scale drawing that would be the size of the portrait on your phone. So notice that it's a picture, so we know it's going to be either a rectangle or a square. And in this case, I know it's a square because the original is 3 feet by 3 feet. So if we're going to scale this down, I could create a table, but if you think about it, it's 3 feet and 3 feet are the same length. So the only thing I'm really going to do here is multiply my length by our scale factor, which is 1/18. So here, let's do 3 times 1/18, and that gives us 1/6 of a foot. However, if you think about it, we don't usually talk about things in terms of being 1/6 of a foot, so we probably want to turn this into something more usable like inches. So we know that there are 12 inches in a foot, so we'll multiply this by 12, and that's going to give us 2 inches. So I know that my new drawing is going to be 2 inches by 2 inches. So again, I'm going to just take the original and scale it down, but you would need to measure it out. And then we're going to make sure we label.